Hello students, before beginning the new topic, you take down few questions in your physics notebook which shall be useful from the examination point of view. I have already advised to keep a pen and your physics notebook always along with you while listening to my lecture. Question number 1. Define conductor and insulator, giving two examples of each. 2 marks. Question number 2. What is earthing? Question mark. In the same question, describe its importance in electrical wiring in our houses. 2 marks. Question number 3. What is charging by induction? Question mark. In the same question, explain it considering the experiment of two metal spheres supported on insulating stands. 3 marks. Now in this question, the answer to the first one, that is what is charging by induction, can be written within a single sentence like this, which you take down in your notebook. The method in which the charged body does not lose LOSE, its own charge, and without coming in physical contact, that is important, with other body that is uncharged, it will induce opposite charge in that. This process is known as charging by induction. Question number 4. State and explain the law of conservation of charge, giving a natural example. 2 marks. Question number 5 and the last one. State and explain quantization of charge. 2 marks. Now we start with the new topic, that is Coulomb's law. Scientist Coulomb considered point charges for framing this law. The concept of point charges we have already discussed in the previous lecture. Coulomb found that the electric force measured by him varied inversely as the square of the distance between the charges and was directly proportional to the product, square and product, 2 words important, and the product of the magnitude of the two charges, and acted along the line joining the two charges, Thus, if 2 point charges Q1 and Q2 are separated by a distance r in vacuum, or you can consider free space also, the magnitude of the force F capital F between them is given by F equal to K in small alphabet mod Q1 Q2 upon R square. This is known as Coulombian force, expression for Coulombian force in scalar form. Here, just a minute. Here in the expression, K is proportionality constant known as Coulomb's constant. Now you can rewrite the statement of Coulomb's law like this, which you write down in your notebook. Write in inverted commas. The mutual electrostatic force acting, or you can also write Coulombian force acting between two stationary point charges, or you can write two stationary point charges or two charged particles. Again I repeat, the mutual electrostatic force between two stationary point charges or two stationary charged particles is directly proportional to the product of their magnitudes and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Full point. And this force acts along the line joining them. Full point, inverted commas over. This completes the statement. Now the words to be noted in this statement are two stationary point charges, second one product, and the third square, and the fourth one line joining. Next point, Coulomb led to this law by performing an historic experiment. He used a torsion balance for measuring the force between two charged metallic spheres. Just a minute. In his experiment, the separation between the two spheres was kept much larger than the radius of each sphere. Hence, the charged spheres can be treated as point charges, which is important, point charges. Suppose the charge on a metallic sphere is Q, that is small alphabet. If the sphere is kept in contact with an identical uncharged sphere, the charge will spread over the two spheres. By symmetry, the charge on each sphere will be q by 2. Similarly, repeating the process, we can get charges q by 2, q by 4 and so on. Coulomb varied the distance as well as he varied the charges in pairs, and comparing forces for different pairs of charges at different distances, Coulomb arrived at the relation which we have already stated ahead, that is the expression for Coulombian force, equation 1.1. In this expression, the value of K is taken arbitrarily, that is according to your choice. We can choose any positive value of K, and the choice determines the size of the unit of charge. In SI units, the value of K turns out to be about 9 into 10 raised to 9 Newton meter square upon Coulomb square. Next point. Next point. Value of K we have seen along with its unit. Unit is Newton meter square upon Coulomb square, because even though it is a constant, we have its unit as K equal to Fr square upon Q1 Q2. The unit of charge that results from this choice is called Coulomb, denoted by capital C. Putting this value of K in the first equation, that is 1.1, for Q1 equal to Q2 equal to 1C, and if we take R equal to 1 meter, that is 1 m, the value of F will be equal to 9 into 10 raised to 9 Newton. Means 1 Coulomb, 1C is the charge that when placed at a distance of 1 m, that is 1 meter, from another charge of the same magnitude in vacuum, experiences an electric force of repulsion of magnitude 9 into 10 raised to 9 Newton. K can be written as K equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 in the first equation, and hence F equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 modulus of Q1 Q2 upon R square. Here epsilon 0 term is called the permittivity, that is electric permittivity, full name, of free space or vacuum. The value of epsilon 0 in SI units equal to 8.85 into 10 raised to minus 12 Coulomb square upon Newton meter square, because epsilon 0 equal to 1 upon 4 pi k. So its unit will be reciprocal of that of k. Just a minute. And this completes Coulomb's law in scalar form. Now we consider Coulomb's law in vector form, as force is a vector quantity. As shown in figure A given besides, let the position vectors of 2-point charges q1 and q2 be denoted by vector r1 and vector r2 respectively. Here there are two forces, that is mutual forces, acting on those two charges, which are F12 vector and F21 vector. Let the force acting on q1 charge by q2 be denoted by vector F12, and force on the second charge, that is q2 by q1, is denoted by vector F21. Say for example, F21 vector means first letter denotes on and the second letter denotes by. On second by 1, on 2 by 1. The 2-point charges q1 and q2 numbered 1 and 2, and the vector leading from 1 to 2 is denoted by vector r21. You have to keep arrow on the bold letter in the exam. Bold letter has not to be written. Instead of that, arrow has to be drawn without fail. Vector r21 equal to vector r2 minus vector r1, which is shown in figure A. Figure A is drawn for like charges, that is two same charges. Similarly, vector r12 equal to vector r1 minus vector r2, which will be equal to minus of vector r21, that is of the first equation. The direction of a vector is specified by a unit vector along the vector. We define the unit vectors from 1 to 2 and from 2 to 1 as follows. The R21 caret, the or it is denoted by hat. R21 caret equal to vector R21 upon R21, that is denominator is distance, and R12 hat equal to vector R12 upon R12, that is R21 hat equal to R12 hat. This comes from the definition of unit vector. Say for example, A caret equal to vector A upon mod A vector written besides. Now Coulomb's law can be written like this between 2 point charges Q1 and Q2 and separated by R1 vector and R2 vector. Say vector F21, that is force acting on charge Q2 due to Q1 equal to K, that is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Q1 Q2 upon R21 square into R21 hat, which is the unit vector from charge 1 to 2. And this equation is for like charges, which we have written using the Coulombian force expression in scalar form. Now, this equation is valid for any sign of Q1 and Q2, whether positive or negative. If Q1 and Q2 are of same sign, means they are like charges, either Q1 and Q2 both positive or Q1 and Q2 both negative, then F21 vector will be along R21 vector, that is same digits will come, which denotes repulsion. And if Q1 and Q2 are of opposite signs, that is unlike charges, say Q1 is negative and Q2 is positive, then vector F21 is along minus R21 hat, or it can be written as R12 hat, that is opposite number, which denotes attraction. The force F12 vector on charge Q1 due to charge Q2 can be obtained by simply interchanging 1 and 2 in the above expression 1.3, that is F12 vector equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Q1 Q2 upon R12 square into R12 hat, which is equal to minus of vector F21. This implies F12 vector equal to minus F21 vector. As shown in figure B, the first line is indicating uh, forces between like charges, and the second line indicates for unlike charges. In the first case, the product Q1 Q2 will be always positive, that is Q1 Q2 greater than 0, and in the second case the product Q1 Q2 will be negative, that is Q1 Q2 less than 0. Now we have already seen that in the last equation that vector F21 equal to minus vector F12, that is, or vector F12 equal to minus vector F21, which agrees very well with the Newton's third law. This completes the vector representation of Coulomb's law. Now we study limitations of Coulomb's law, which you can note down, which is not given here. Two limitations. Number one, Coulomb's law is valid for only two stationary point charges. Only two stationary point charges. Hence, Coulombian force is also called a two-body force. A two-body force. Second limitation, the point charges should be placed in vacuum or free space, that is air. So limitations are over. Now Coulomb's law can be compared with Newton's universal law of gravitation. Here charges Q1 Q2, that is point charges, can be or are analogous to masses m1 and m2 in mechanics. Charges in 2-point charges in electrostatics are analogous to two masses in mechanics. The main difference between those two laws is that gravitational force is always attractive in nature, given by gravitational law, while Coulombian force is attractive as well as repulsive from Coulomb's law. Based on these two laws, we study the following illustrated numerical, that is example 1.4. Just a minute. go through the data meanwhile. In this numerical, there are two parts, A and B. A part, in A, number 1, again two sub questions. Compare the strength of these forces by determining the ratio of their magnitudes for an electron and a proton. For an electron and a proton. We first refer its solution. The electric force between electron and proton is given by the equation Fe equal to minus Ke square upon R square. For K, you substitute 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0, and the equation for gravitational force is given by Fg equal to minus G mp into me upon R square, where mp and me are the masses of proton and electron respectively. Masses are provided in the data in kg, which will be also given in the exam. Now we have to find out the ratio Fe upon Fg modulus. That is, if you divide 1 by 2 equation, which will be equal to E square upon 4 pi epsilon 0 G capital mp into me. Substituting the values of capital G, epsilon 0, mp, me and E, we get the final answer as 2.4 into 10 raised to 39. 2.4 into 10 raised to 39. Here capital G value equal to 6.67 into 10 raised to minus 11. Again I repeat, capital G equal to 6.67 into 10 raised to minus 11. Newton meter square upon kilogram square. That is the unit. Newton meter square upon kilogram square. That is the unit. Because capital G equal to Fr square upon m1 m2. Rest of the values epsilon 0 we already know, mp and me are given, and E value equal to 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. Substituting all those values, we get 2.4 into 10 raised to 39. That is the answer, final answer, without unit, because it is a ratio. Now second sub question in A. For two protons, solution, again we have to find out Fe upon Fg modulus for two protons. Here in this case, Fe upon Fg modulus equal to E square upon 4 pi epsilon 0 G mp into mp, that is mp square, that is mass of the proton square. This is the simplified formula, and substituting all the values, we get the final answer as 1.3 into 10 raised to 36. Again 1.3 into 10 raised to 36. This is also without any unit. So this completes the two answers of A part. This shows that the value of Fe turns out approximately equal to 230 Newton, whereas Fg turns out approximately equal to 1.9 into 10 raised to minus 34 Newton. This shows that electrical forces are enormously stronger than gravitational forces, and hence electrical forces, that is repulsion, prevails between two protons. Now B part. Estimate the acceleration of electron and proton due to the electrical force of their mutual attraction when they are 1 angstrom, that is 1 A0 apart, question mark. Here 1 angstrom equal to 10 raised to minus 10 meter is given in bracket, which you have to learn by heart, won't be given in the exam. Solution. The electric force capital F exerted by proton and electron will be same. Why same? Because the magnitudes to the same in magnitude, but as the masses of electron and proton are different, the magnitude of force is given by mod F equal to Ke square upon R square, that is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 E square upon R square. Substituting all the values in this equation, we get, for R you substitute 10 raised to minus 10 meter. The final answer will be equal to 2.3 into 10 raised to minus 8 Newton, which is tick marked. Now we have to calculate acceleration of electron and proton respectively from this value of force, which turns out to be the same for electron as well as proton. First we calculate the acceleration of electron, that is from the standard formula, Newton's second law of motion, F equal to ma. Make A as the subject of the equation, that is A equal to F upon m, and in this formula substitute the values of F and mass of electron me. The final answer will be equal to 2.5 into 10 raised to 22 meter per second square, that is m by s square. Similarly, for proton, Again A equal to F upon M. Here AP equal to F upon Fe upon MP. The value of Fe remains same as in the first one, that is for electron, and MP, that is the mass of proton, you substitute the value and the final answer will be equal to 1.4 into 10 raised to 10 into 10 raised to 19 into 10 raised to 19 meter per second square, that is m by s square. The two final answers have been tick marked. Now, physical significance of this sum is that out of electron and proton, electron is lighter, so its acceleration is more. Okay, that's all for today.